Hello and welcome to another session of Directions for Truth. We listen a lot to our audience, and our audience has asked who's guilty, who's not. Did they do it? And the most requests we get is from people wanting to know about the Casey Anthony case, which I don't know very much about. We do have a guest with us that knows a lot about the case, and so I'm going to turn it over to her. We're going to do a vocal analysis, an analysis using the nano voice. And the nano voice, I'll make this a little bigger. We put a microphone in front of your face, and this particular app begins to count the sounds that you make. How, now, brown, cow would give us 4 hits on the screen. So when we want to know about somebody, if they can send us a voice print, we dump it in here and we can see what people's perspectives are about, are they guilty? Do they care? Are they truthful? And this little white line you see between each note, we have taken away 6% of any of the frequencies. They end up in the dead zone so that we never mistake one note for another. I can demonstrate this just a little bit. Hit a microphone. This is free on the soundhealthportal.com. You can use it, or you can purchase it for your own computer. So I got the microphone in front of me. How now, brown cow. You can see all of this coming and is counting up the notes. Now I can stop this anytime by hitting the microphone again. And you notice when it first came in, there was a lot of yellow. Yellow deals with thinking mode. You're in your left brain perspective of life. F, this is red. Red is like Santa, be good for the future. F is the balance between perception and action. Now we will be putting up this recording, and with it, we will give you a starter wheel. Let's see if I can find one. Because each a note correlate chart. Because each of the notes through the 30 years that we've been doing this, and you're going to have to cut this part because there's no note correlate chart here. There's one. Totally the wrong one. Well, I hope you can cut one in here because I can't find one on this computer. It shows you what note indicates what. C is ego, and you want this is very literal, so about halfway up is normal. Very little ego. This is justice. This is helping others with information, and that's what's on the chart that we'll put up for you. So I am going to bring on Kelly. She is a New Yorker, so she talks kind of fast. We've asked her to slow down a bit for us. Recording.
Okay, I'll try to do that.
Okay, Kelly, you're on.
Okay, well, as Sherry said, I pretty much watched the Casey Anthony story unfold. I think a lot of us went to bed at night thinking of that little girl's picture that the news had on the television quite a bit. It just broke all our hearts. Ergo, she got the name of the most hated mom/woman in America. She gave birth to little Kaylee when she was 19 years old back on August 9th of 2005. And on June 16th of 2008, Kaylee, that was the last time she was ever seen alive. On the 15th of July, Casey's mother, Cindy Anthony, she reports the little girl missing. The 17th, the officers searched Casey's car, which was left abandoned by basically a pawn shop, and a cadaver dog picks up the scent of the human decomposition. And I know that a lot of emphasis was placed on the phone call that her mom had made to the police, stating that it smells like a dead body was in there. I don't know how she knew that. Maybe being a nurse, she's got some experience in that. So the authorities or the police say that an air sample test from the car indicates that, yes, in fact, there was human remains in the trunk. So at that point, October 14th of 2008, a grand jury indicted Casey Anthony on capital murder and other charges. And of course, she pleads not guilty. Then we go from October to December. It's just to my understanding that a utilities worker was working in the area, close proximity to the Anthony house, and he discovers skeletal remains in the wooded area near the house. And then about the remains were discovered on the 11th. The authorities announced that the remains were in fact Kaylee's, the little girl of Casey Anthony. The prosecutors were discussing all this and stated that they were going to seek the death penalty and reversing any earlier decision as to not pursue the capital punishment charge. And in fact, this case was so heartfelt by so many people, including in the legal system, that the first judge to hear this case was actually recused himself. He was sort of a social media buff and what have you. So he in fact stepped down. He recused himself, and Judge Belvin Perry was the judge that oversaw the case.
What is your opinion?
My opinion on guilty or not guilty, Sherry?
Was this the body that was in the car? There's really no way of telling, is there?
No, there's no way of telling that. All they could do was say that, there was human remains due to the air test. Now, what an air test exactly consists of, I'm not exactly sure on that. But being that cadaver dogs, I mean, it just all I think the police just thought that this was all falling into place. What else would it have been? They never discussed a dog or anything of that nature, but they said human remains. But I do believe, I'm sorry.
Was there any reason you can think of as you've gone over this that she would want this little girl dead?
I do believe that she had this child at a very young age, at 19. And I think that she, at 19, me being in my late 50s, shall we say, she had her children very young, and she wanted to go out and she wanted to party with her friends, as many pictures went up during the case, after the child had been missing for 30 days, she dropped it off to a fictitious babysitter, which she called Zanny the nanny. And I just think that it was a case of she just wanted her single life back and didn't like the responsibility of a child. That is my opinion, but it just feels like everything leading up, the pictures and all the evidence, just shows that. Her dancing in a bar, she went and got tattoos, she was partying, showing with beers with guys and girls and what have you, dancing. So that kind of is my surmise on why she would have done this.
So you think the little girl was just in the way?
I do. I feel like there was some discussion in regards to Casey saying whether there was a inmate when Casey was incarcerated that came forward, and now whether she wanted her 5 minutes of fame, I don't know. Nobody will ever know, but this girl basically came out and said that Kaylee did in fact say that, and she also told this girl in incarceration that sometimes she would give little Kaylee things to make her sleep so she could go party.
Was there any boyfriend or anybody else in the picture that would want the little girl gone?
Not to my recollection. Not to my recollection. That was never, not that I heard or not that shows on this timeline, that there was in fact a boyfriend that wanted her gone, or she felt that she was in the way. Now, when the trial was going on, I do remember some boyfriends that were interviewed, and they did say that they thought the little girl was just adorable.
Well, when we did her vocal print, she came up with a vocal print that looks very much like a victim. She and Princess Diana have almost the identical vocal print. When you have this really high blue, blue is emotions, but it's in a place of martyrdom. So she sees herself as a victim. But there's also an incredible amount of narcissism, to the point where there's almost a split personality here. When you look at the octaves, now there's a connection between all the numbers. You could get to all of the numbers. Well, maybe this little set right here, you couldn't jump to. But any place there is a number, there was a sound recorded, and all these things are connected. And when it's so scattered like this, it means not all the truth is being told. And in one of the recordings, they were in jail, the mother and father and Casey on the other side. And the mother says, "Look up, look at me, look me in the eye." And Casey wouldn't do it. The mother thought she was guilty at that point. I would think if somebody talked to the parents or her friends from a long time ago, they would have seen that she makes up stories. She's a very good actress. I would go so far as to say there's a split personality here. I'm not allowed to say that, but that's what it looks like from everything I've seen. And you'll see a score of 202 on this very top line. That's godlike. This person thinks that what they did, who they are, is okay. But I think they live in a fantasy land. And you're looking at the note of B, it's 253, I think. I really can't see that. 213. And so this is in the octave of naive. So the fact that this is in naive, this is almost a gimme, gimme, I deserve kind of situation. Let's look at these octaves. This -1, this is foundational. This is, they were raised with a strong idea of right and wrong, and none of hers even comes up to normal. G is 21, that's half of normal, and that's about physical things. What's right physically? The second octave is control, and her highest one is 30. Still not even up to normal, and it's on justice. But when you come to emotions, there's practically nothing. There's a, let me get a magnifying glass. There's a 38 on the note of D. That's helping others. But she's giving this story in some way to try to help others, but she has very little real emotions. In her ego, 5. In her words, 5. In her plans, F and F sharp, there's nothing. In her emotions about anything physical, there's nothing. She's cut it off. She doesn't think about it. And on A sharp and B, where she had a lot of information, it is empty on emotions. She can totally detach herself for whatever went on. Think of this as a very narcissistic partner who's trying to lie to you to get you to keep loving them, but everything they tell you is a lie. That's what these kind of emotions tell you. The next one up, 0 octave, that's naive. And her position of naive is at the note of B, for others. But she has 213, where normal is 42. So we're talking here about somebody who is being very naive about other people's rights and emotions. The next one up is fantasy. Now she has 101 in the note of A sharp, and A sharp is management, is spirituality, but hers is in fantasy. You won't see much reality in what's going on with her. She also has 83 in the note of C sharp, justice. Her idea of justice is a fantasy layer. And then you move up to the God layer, 202. I can do what I want. I'm omnipotent. This is my world, and I will treat it the way I want. My opinion, this is an incredibly good actress or a total split personality. She has the most talent with words. Her weakest points are planning, and that's because there's nothing in F, and there's a little bit in E, but notice there's red, yellow, green, and blue in the note of E. So she's a multitasker. She's very smart when it comes to words and what would entrap her. Her high score is she's naive. That's that 0. And godlike, which is the very top here. But she only has half. The right brain of it is missing. No notes there. So the fact that it's in the left brain tells me she's very calculating. And from the perspective of she's the God, she's the most important, unlimited person. So other people just have to believe her. Do I think she's guilty? Yes, but I also think she is mentally disturbed. I think she can split her personality and be very convincing in the other personalities. This would probably show that she had some kind of damage as a kid or something she needed to run away with as a kid. She was not emotional at all when she was talking about her daughter being missing. And if we can play some of the recording, and there's places in there where you can take out a theme, and if you just play that theme over and over again by hitting the microphone again and again, you can see the perspective. And so I did several of hers, and they all came out the same way. Very little anything except I'm the victim here, and you need to believe me because I'm the one that's been wronged. She can turn whatever personality she has on and off in a minute. That would probably confuse the jury so they wouldn't know what to think. It's a very good talent if you want to be a spy or an actress. The computer came up with a printout also, and this is usually what is going on now. You can easily be, I'm reading now from the computer printout, you can easily be distracted from carrying out your plans by a more exciting project. You know how to get things done, but don't always have the time to deal with the details. You would like to have more time to spend on spiritual things. Yes, that's nearly missing. You have a hard time prioritizing what to do first. Justice is important to you, but you would just as soon someone else deal with the punishment. You sometimes help others to the detriment of yourself. She believes that. She believes that that's that blue note of B, that she puts herself out for others and that she deserves to be free and do exactly what she wants. It's much like this generation that's coming up, this me generation, without a thought of who's going to pay the consequences. Do you have any other questions, Kelly?
Yes, I do. If Sherry, First off, I'd like to know, I just kind of want to compartmentalize what you just read to me and all of us. So basically, do you feel that she is like has sociopathic tendencies? Do you feel that she may kill again to suit her own needs?
I think she's going to create a lot of different situations where she can play the part of the hero. Would she kill again? I think she would if she thought she could get away with it. And she does think she's smarter than everyone else, and she could get away with it.
It's interesting that you say that she can flip these personalities, as you put it, with like on a dime.
Yep.
I will tell you, after looking at footage of the Casey Anthony after the verdict was read, and everything was, she was going in the back, and it looked to me like they were fingerprinting her, and there was many people, lawyers and just different people there, and everybody, she was laughing and she was giggling, and I just, I mean, she is mentally disturbed. I mean, because there is no winners here, in my opinion, Sherry. A beautiful little girl is gone, and and then she was voted, by a judge of of a jury of her peers to be not guilty. Do you think that was just like, ha ha ha, I won, I beat this one?
From what you're describing, she doesn't seem to have any feelings for this little girl.
Yep, there is footage of her in the back being fingerprinted after the verdict was read. In fact, I will tell you that the parents of her, after the verdict was read, they were gone, and that's something that the media jumped all over. Her parents were gone. So, I mean, that kind of tells me what their opinion of, was. In fact, I am not quite sure when this happened, but I will tell you that her father left a suicide note in a hotel, was going to kill himself. Now, I don't know, there was things brought up about her and him and the son, or her brother, some sexual abuse, which was never proven. And stuff like that. And I don't know if that was the result of that, or he just really appeared to love this little girl. You said that something happened in childhood. Could that be a possibility to make her, have these issues of narcissism and that split personality?
Absolutely, but I'm not any kind of psychologist, so I can't say sociopath, psychopath.
I'm just asking in your opinion, Sherry. I understand.
In my opinion, she sets up situations like would be a come on to men, and then would come after them and say it was rape. So I think she sets up situations where she can be the hero or the victim or the person who gets all of the fame from it. I would not be her friend for anything, because from what her print says, she'll stab you in the back in a second.
Yeah, it's kind of frightening, that, she's basically, like you said, she's mentally disturbed, and, that something is, medically wrong with her. One thing I've always asked myself, I know this is the last of my questions, Sherry, I know you have other things you want to discuss. Her father, I just talked about him. He was an ex-police officer. Do you really feel, I mean, because there's so many things, so many, adverse things coming up about him, the suicide note, the accusation of sexual assault, all these things. I mean, who better to get away with a murder than an ex-police officer? Do you feel, the way things were laid out, do you feel that, that he had something to do with this?
Well, I'll answer it in a different way.
Okay.
A person with this vocal print can learn from every situation. Anything you tell her, she's going to learn from it. And see this blue screen as literal. All these empty spaces are holes in her personality or her being. She doesn't have it together except in this one place with words. And she has words filled on every level, except she has a very low on emotions. She could make up a scenario. She'd be a great writer. and probably has some kind of deal because there's some disturbance in F and F sharp, and that's always money stuff.
Well, judging from these numbers and what have you, is she probably the kind of person that tells these lies and actually makes herself believe them? True?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's why she comes out as being the victim, but also this godlike, really high number
Yeah,
of
that's
200 and something on the godlike level. This is somebody that could talk to God in the morning and the trash man in the afternoon and make them equally comfortable that they were talking to her.
wow. That's something. Well, that's,
So we really can't prove much of anything, just that she's scattered. She thinks she's a victim. She's good with words. On any level that you try to trick her at, she'll come at you with another story that will convince you you're totally wrong. I watched her parents. I think her parents know she's guilty, but
I
they
would,
would never turn their kid in.
yeah, yeah, but looking at Cindy Anthony's face and her body language at that one particular conversation that you were discussing earlier at, the visitation, and Cindy, she just, Casey kept saying, I don't know, Mom. I don't know, Mom. What are you trying to say, Mom? And her mom just kind of put her head down and said nothing. So I think at that point, Cindy was just kind of, in disbelief and just knew that, she had done it.
Will she ever admit it? Likely not. She wants to think that she's smarter and she'd beat it.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody wants to go use our nano voice, they can go to soundhealthportal.com. The nano voice is right on the front. It says, check out our nano voice, and it'll give you directions all the way through to record your voice, and it will give you a printout, much like you saw in Casey Anthony's chart. But it only stays about 30 seconds, maybe to a minute, and you have to grab it and print it out, or you'll lose it. If you want this for your own computer, where you can do this for other people or test other people, go to soundhealthoptions.com and look for Nano. And you can purchase it. They'll download it to you. And also, there's a tiny Nano manual that you can get whether you purchase it or not. So just write to us or go to our website and grab it. Tiny Nano manual. What goes on with this more than anything is the interpretation. What line goes with what layer goes with what's missing is just as important as what's not there. And the most unfilled is F and F sharp. Planning, and then have a plan about your plan. She's very, very good on her feet. I doubt that people would trip her up. I doubt they'd be able to trip her up.
Wow.
We could continue to go through, or we could even invite the audience to look up some of the recordings and do an analysis and send it to them, because the book will tell you how to do that, and just do a compilation of everything that's going on. But certainly her weak point is she thinks she's the victim, and you might be able to play on that. If you're trying to get her to confess, play on up her being the victim and what happens to victims and what she'd like to see. Might go with that.
Yeah, because she never took the stand at all during the trial. Her attorneys kept her right there.
Maybe because she'd flip out on them. Don't know.
Yeah. Maybe she said no.
Now, fancies herself as a very good actress, thinks that everyone should believe her. She has convinced herself that she is the victim, but that is also her weak point. by playing the victim, she's going to get herself in this situation again.
Yeah. Yeah, she's already altered her appearance. I saw a picture of her pretty recent, maybe a couple months ago. And there's been some significant, reconstruction on her. Her appearance is altered. I mean, not like, catastrophic, but she's definitely altered her appearance because, I mean, this was just so worldwide. And like I said in the beginning of this, she was she was labeled the most hated woman in America because a lot of us went to bed at night looking at that beautiful little girl.
What kind of monster could kill their own child?
That's exactly right. And that's what I think everybody's asking. I mean, that little girl was just so beautiful and, to the point of tears. I mean, I'm a mother of 3, mothers especially. I'm not saying, that no one can really feel the pain, if you're not a mother, but I mean, it just really, it's terrible. I mean, it's just absolutely terrible. And as a mother, I can't imagine what Cindy Anthony is feeling. You know what I mean?
The
Or her
grandma.
husband. Yeah, the grandma, her Casey's parents. They did an interview after, I don't know, a couple of months ago. She is totally different. She's gained, some weight and what have you. And, and I'm sure that this is something they also live with every day of their lives, which is just horrible, but,
What
as
do
a
you
mother,
think
I'm
happened to
sorry.
her?
What do I think happened to Casey?
No, what do you think should happen to Casey?
I think Casey should be retried. I think there's something to be missed. I don't think that this can happen. I really feel that justice needs to be served for Kaylee, and not only did, a little girl's life was taken, but I mean, Casey's parents, I'm sure, sit there to themselves at night and wonder to themselves, what did we do wrong? What did we do so wrong that our daughter is capable of this? I mean, they must. And, because like I said, Sherry, there are no winners here. There's no winners here at all.
We want to ask our audience to send in other names. And as I'm watching my email, somebody wants us to do JonBenét. Now, we don't exactly know who to do because they don't know who did it. But we certainly could do the brother and the neighbor. And if anybody has other ideas of who we should look at, maybe we can crack that code too.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Thank you, Kelly.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you.
Sounds like you did a lot of research on this.
Yes, I did. And I did follow it. I was one of those people that thought of that little girl at night. So yeah, I sure did.
We're going to change gears slightly here because one of the other people that we were asked to look at was O.J. Simpson. Now, when this was happening, I thought Simpson was guilty. Why did he run? Who else would have motive to take out his wife and his wife's boyfriend? But his thing was a little like Casey Anthony, but slightly different at the same time. So here we're looking at O.J. Simpson talking about his trial. So we have this bottom line foundational. It's on the right side. So from his upbringing and his foundation, he had the ideals that would prevent him from doing this. But he didn't have the ideals from doing this from a logical perspective. He has logic foundation gone, but he has emotional left brain here. Combine that with the foundation is gone, but the emotions kicked in. Looks like he did this from some sort of fit of rage. But at the same time, it's been so long, he has totally divorced himself from what is going on. This is his columnar view, and it's red under A sharp, which is a spiritual, which means he knew better, but he knew his future was at stake and he needed to tone it down. The other one is G sharp. There's concern about something physical. Do I think he's guilty? Yes. I think he would have gotten off more if he pleaded insanity or something. From his vocal print, that looks like what could have happened. But at the same time, he's kind of divorced himself from all of this. His control is gone about it. Naive. Look at how high the naive numbers are. 43. Now 45 is normal. 43 in naive words. Breathing. The note of E. He has a couple things disconnected. We look at the note of C, a score of 15 on emotions, but there's no connection. There's no way to get to that 15 with a filled up block of numbers, or in this case, we're looking at sound. So he has divorced his ego from this, like this happened to someone else. Does he feel like he's a victim? A bit on a foundational level, not much. He's just divorced from it. He also is keeping in mind at all times how this can kill him or serve him in the future. He's scattered, but he's multi-layered, so he's very smart. Talks with the future in mind and then emotions. So he doesn't let his emotions out if they're going to disturb his future. He can create multi-layered stories with words, just like Casey Anthony, and thinks people should believe him because of his status. And he tells a lot of stories about situations that happened to him. So when he got in this problem, he just told another story. He's always looking for his future. The note of C sharp is justice, and you see he has nothing in there. This is going to get to him. Because he has no justice, nothing to fall back on, no foundation, no control, no emotions. This is going to eat at him, and I would not be surprised if he did something to himself to either punish himself or have somebody else punish him. You just can't have justice empty without you wanting to pay the consequences, but you just don't know how. Did you look at this case, Kelly, when it came up?
I did.
What'd you think?
Did I think O.J. was guilty? Yes, I do. I did. And your analysis proves that. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay. We can discuss this and do this at another time. Aaron Hernandez is another football player that got in some trouble. I mean, he was accused of murder and what have you, but we can get into that at another time. But on that note of him, they stated that because he was in football and being on that front line and being slammed all the time, caused him some brain issues. And it caused him to do things he wouldn't normally do had he, not had that. Do you see any of that, any type of, with the brain and with his talking, that would allow you to maybe think that the same thing went on with O.J.?
I would have to do a different kind of computer program.
Okay.
This is personality only, but we can certainly go back and look at his brain and brain damage, neuropeptide Y. We could look at and see if that's an issue. Maybe we could create a computer program for the sports industry so they could see when this damage starts to happen.
Right. I mean, this was not discovered until later on. Actually, if memory serves me correctly, now I could be wrong, but if memory serves me correctly, they discovered this in Aaron Hernandez during the autopsy or something. It was discovered later on. And so that would be a great idea. Yeah.
We'll make it a priority to do that next. And again, I'm going to have to rely on you to do the research. I don't know anything else about this guy. I recognize his name, Hernandez, but that's all I know.
Hernandez, yes. He was, actually, here's what ties this into Casey Anthony. Mr. Hernandez, not to get off topic either, Mr. Hernandez had been found guilty of murder. And then after that, he was, the police had charged him with a couple other ones they felt that he was tied to. Jose Baez, which was, I'm sure you all recognize the name, he was the one that represented Casey Anthony. And he took over and got him off those other two murder charges and was actually going to be retried for the first one he was found guilty on, because they were looking into why he would do it. You know what I'm saying? Because he had it all. I mean, new baby, beautiful family, what have you, but that's what was discovered. And I think that's something important for professional athletes of football especially
to look at. Maybe we should do a whole show on the lawyers speaking to see if they feel that their client were guilty and what kind of dance they're doing. Boy, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Let's also do something on, a lot of people ask us about Trump and Biden. Now, we did Biden, and we'll put it up for you. And it looks like he has vascular dementia, which means the circulation to the brain is not doing very well. These things are fascinating, but they really change people's lives, so we have to be careful of what we do. So don't send us your husband. It has to be somebody who is a national figure or a public figure. But we'll certainly teach you to do it, and we have lots of hour-long Vimeos, Vimeo, on how to interpret this nano voice. And you can learn to do it and do it for you and your family. It's not just lie or not lie. You can talk to it and say, oh, I'm going after these two jobs. One job does da da da, and the other job does blah blah blah. And you can see which job you secretly, unconsciously think is a good thing for you. Because the more this is filled out completely, the more colors there are, the more balanced you are emotionally and physically. So we invite you to look at some of those. We also have a catalog. Let's see if I can find it. A catalog that gives you lots and lots. It came out over here. Oh, it says my access is denied. Try this one. And I'll put the chat here for you. But in the catalog, it gives you all of our different courses from free on up to professional. And in the back are all of the tutorials. And you can learn to do this on your own, or we have a textbook that you can use. And we'd like for you to join us in this idea of a bioacoustic center in every community. We think we need to provide the tools and solutions for people to be able to have dominion over their own health and to look at what's coming in the future. So we totally invite you to join us next time. We never know what the topic is going to be. So send us more people that you want to see. Oh, somebody just sent in Jeffrey Dahmer. Wow, I don't even know if we have any video or anything on him. He's the one that killed and ate little boys.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to see what his biochemistry looks like.
I'm sure we can get some footage.
Well, thank you for being here. Please come back and watch this over again if you'd like. We will have the links to some of the video maybe even be able to incorporate it into this recording. And we'll talk to you later.